Thanks for joining us. I'm Nancy Furness, and this is We've Got Issues. We're filming today on site at Coquitlam City Centre Library, and we'd like to thank the library for giving us this space to carry out the interviews. Before we get started, I'd also like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of Coquitlam First Nation. So we thank the Coquitlam people who continue to live on the lands and to share and to take care of the lands and the waters and all that lies above and below. So today I'm joined by Claire MacLean, who is the CEO of Share. So thanks so much for joining us today, Claire.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We've had a couple of tough years. Yeah. I think affordability, cost of living just keeps going up and up.
That's right.
Can you maybe tell us a little bit about how that's affecting folks in the Tri-Cities and, with respect to maybe the food bank and different services that Share provides?
Yeah, I think, we've seen our numbers across all of our programs increase again this year. It's been a steady climb since the COVID pandemic, and that hasn't changed. And so certainly in our food bank, we have new registrants coming every single week, but we also see it in our counseling programs. We're seeing higher numbers than ever in our child and youth programs, in our seniors programs. Just the need for support has really climbed in all different areas of vulnerability. And I think, in our industry, we knew this was coming a little bit. There are members of the community that are always going to need a little extra support. They're always going to need a little extra helping hand. That's why organizations like Share exist. Mm-hmm. And then, there's a cohort of people in the community that are managing to get by. They maybe have to dip down into vulnerability sometimes, but they can manage to move out of it. And because of things like the pandemic, it really disrupted people's employment supports, their finances, their social networks, their ability to rely on family and friends for that support. And that takes a long time to come out of when you're already struggling. And then you're right, you layer on the cost of living crisis, you layer on the housing crisis, the tainted drug supply. You've just got more people sitting in that vulnerability for longer periods of time. And it takes a while for community and for people to move out of that. And so that's what we see every day, I would say.
Right, and I think you're right. Like there's a resilience there, but when you keep piling on factor after factor, that sometimes, things give.
That's right.
So can you talk a little bit, it's both social and financial. Yeah. So Share has supports in both those places, which is really important. Yeah. Despite all of this affordability crisis and people, really struggling, are you still seeing donations come in? And if so, what kind of donations?
We are. I mean, the best donations are financial ones because we can make that money stretch, and we absolutely are still seeing those, which is so incredible. There certainly is a reality that businesses are struggling in the community right now too. It has been a very challenging year for business, and I can't shout out to our business community enough in the Tri-Cities because really, it is about creating a strong local economy, making sure those businesses are successful, and they invest back in. They invest back in their own employees, and they invest back in the community at large, including through donations to Share. So it's been a struggle. It's certainly not our best year in terms of fundraising, I would say, but I do think the people that have decided that this is part of what they're going to do, either individually or through a business, they've committed to us, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Right, to have that consistent support, right?
That's
so maybe businesses are maybe a little bit more able to do that, and individuals also donate. Yeah. So you're taking food donations as well as financial money donations?
Yeah, we do. We still take non-perishable food donations for sure. We encourage people to check those expiry dates because we can't, and make sure that it's something that you would want to serve your own family that you're donating if you're donating food. But if you donate money, and it can be as little as a toonie or a loonie, we can combine that with other financial donations to make our bulk purchases of fresh fruit and vegetables, of milk, eggs that we're giving families, to really make sure that they're getting something healthy.
Right. So it makes it go a little bit further if you can kind of have control, I don't want to say of the purse strings, but to have that money and then to make use of that.
That's right.
Like you're saying, buying bulk. And
we buy
things like
bulk.
that.
Yeah, you should see the eggs and potatoes and milk that we buy every single week at the food bank. Yeah, it's a lot of volume that comes through, and we get a discount because of that. And so, you know, it's a good use, I think, of people's donations for sure.
Can you tell us, just like, as far as the food bank goes, if you had a family that you were needing to feed and you went and visited the food bank, what could you expect to come away with?
You know, first of all, I think you can expect to be greeted by the most wonderful volunteers and staff. You'll be welcomed with a smile. Our staff speak a whole multitude of languages as well. And
that
so,
can be a barrier.
Absolutely. Right? You'll see signs, hopefully, in your home language. You'll hopefully even be greeted by someone potentially that speaks your home language, which is lovely.
So feeling a little welcomed.
It's huge. It's huge. And then you'll be able to get a variety of fresh fruit and vegetables, some pantry staples, which really culturally appropriate pantry staples too. So for some folks that might be pasta, for some folks that might be lentils,
rice.
For others it might be rice, that's right. And so really trying to make sure that we meet the needs, the cultural needs, as well as the dietary needs of folks, and getting them oriented to the process. We've got some supplies if you have a little one under a year old. We've got some formula, we've got some diapers, so those really expensive things for babies.
Those are expensive.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, we've got those items. So yeah, it really depends. You know, for some of our older community members that are coming in, we've got, you know, Depends and different garments like that they might need, meal supplements like Ensure and things like that some of our seniors really rely on. So there's a whole variety of things that we can deliver through the food bank. And the other piece I would say is that, you know, it's unusual for someone to come in just needing food. Often, you know, they come in and they need food, but actually what they really would love is help getting secure employment. Well, we can connect you with our employment services. Perhaps they're struggling with anxiety, and that's the reason that, you know, they haven't been able to maintain a good working relationship with their employer, and now they're at the food bank. Well, we've got counseling services that could maybe give them strategies around that. You know, if they're struggling with, you know, behavior with a teenager at home, or a, you know, a middle schooler, which I can relate to, you know, it's we've got services around parenting and around early childhood. And so there's just a whole range of supports that SHARE provides that it's our goal to get to know the people that are coming in and hopefully wrap supports around them.
Well, and I think you make some really good points in that it's not just food, right?
That's
like
right.
Food will feed you today, but it's looking longer term
That's right.
at how do you get connected to all these services,
That's
and
right.
how can we, you know, support you so that you can, you know, fulfill all those other things in your life, right? Some counseling and different things as well.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's been hit by affordability, and you know, it's getting tougher for everyone. But can you tell us, do you see certain portions of the population being hit the hardest, or there's certain people that are more vulnerable?
I mean, I think anyone on a limited income is more vulnerable. So our folks that are already living on disability or social assistance, I mean, those numbers haven't changed. And so when the cost of everything changes, their income doesn't change to keep up.
Right, you're on a fixed income.
That's right. So, I mean, for sure, you know, our seniors, you know, folks like that, it's been a real struggle. We've certainly seen as well, you know, women having to stay in relationships that they wouldn't normally choose to stay in, whether they be violent or, you know, just, you know, non-supportive relationships because they can't find another place to live or
not having the option to move out and get their own place.
That's right. That's right. So that's been a real challenge for sure that we're working through lots of families in that scenario. Those are the big ones.
Okay, and you know, there's people who are struggling and who are able to come to you for that support. There are also people that are unhoused, living on the street. What can you offer for them?
So we certainly serve them through our food bank as well. Some of them are involved in our counseling services, which is fantastic. So it's not a barrier on our end by any extent, although certainly if you are unhoused, you know, finding housing is your biggest concern. We have services around helping people find secure housing. So we have a tenant advocate program that can help people get registered with BC Housing and those kind of supports.
That's an important first step, is
Absolutely.
just to overcome those barriers of how do I do this?
That's right. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of, you know, you need to have ID. We've had people come in, sometimes they don't even have ID for different reasons. So we've supported them through that process, getting ID so that then they can get registered on the government website so then they can get the supports. So there's, lots of steps. You know, sometimes people don't have bank accounts. And so we work around situations like that, around how to, it's hard to receive a government check if you don't have a bank account for it to go
or
to.
an address.
That's right. So our team is incredibly creative and supportive and well-versed in navigating those situations. We work closely with other partners like the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, their staff. We actually co-locate with their staff sometimes to make that more seamless for people. So, I mean, really our job is to meet people where they're at and try and figure out the best solution. And if it's not right within House and Share, then we'll hook you up with the right people in the community who can help you. That's the role for sure.
Yeah, so I can see the value in that, like connecting with Share, you get access and support to all the other supports that you might not even have known that you could access.
Yeah,
right?
that's the goal for sure. And I think sometimes, depending on a person's situation, we've got some incredible outreach workers that work in the community, particularly around our unhoused folks. So they often are more comfortable maybe with them if they've been working with Hope for Freedom, or if they've been working with Progressive Housing Society or some of those other really lovely organizations and their teams. Then our role often is supportive to those staff. So
but having those relationships in place is key.
That's right. That's right. So we work closely with those teams too, and we'll step in and supplement where they want us to and feel it's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also, Share does so much more. Like you mentioned, it's not just the food bank.
That's right.
Can you give us a little update? Has anything changed in the programs? Any new programs, or
we've got lots coming. So we do have the Tri-Cities Foundry coming, which will be a one-stop shop for youth aged 12 to 24 and their families.
Because that's an area where sometimes there are gaps
it's
sometimes.
Definitely a gap,
it can
for
be
sure.
A challenging time of life.
That's right. That's right. And so on site at a Foundry Hub are primary care, so physicians and nurses, counseling services, peer supports, as well as a range of other social services and supports. No wait, so you can just pop in, drop in at the time that it's open, and you'll get seen and get connected to all those supports. So that is a new initiative that we've been working on with community, working closely with the health authority, with our other partners, to really get that up and running by late this year, I would imagine. So that's a big one for sure.
Wow. And where is Foundry going to be located?
So soon to come. We've been looking for a home, so we'll be able to announce that soon.
So we'll wait to hear more.
Yes.
That sounds exciting that there is a place like that where it's like teenagers and early young adults and kind of filling that void.
Yeah.
So that's great.
It'll be really exciting. And it's just things are always changing and evolving. I mean, we've experienced a reduction in federal government funding, unfortunately, for our early years refugee services. And so we're coping with that right now. I mean, that's funding, that didn't just happen in our community or to our organization. That funding has been reduced by the federal government across the province and across the country. And so that's a really significant hit to this community. And we're working hard to try and figure out a way to scaffold that and make sure those families are taken care of.
I think funds and resources are always going to be a challenge.
That's right.
I understand you have a fundraiser coming up.
We do. It's never been more important. So it's the 20th year of our Imagine Gala. Westfield, when we talk about local businesses, a huge shout out to Westfield. It's their 20th year as the presenting sponsor in their partnership with Share Society. They provide the building that we deliver some of our counseling as well as our food bank services from. They also provide lots of support to the organization and to the community as well. So really honoring how they have built Share as an organization and built this community as well. So it's going to be a great time. It's March 8th.
It's coming up.
Yes, so we're super excited.
And can you tell us anything about it, or are you going to make us wait?
No, I mean, we'd love to share. So tickets are on sale now. There's also sponsorship opportunities for local businesses and to get involved in. We're really pulling on, I think even as we were talking initially, that it's a lot of need right now. And
it definitely is.
It is. And it's, there's hard stories out there that people are experiencing. And we really want to be able to share the good news stories too with people. The thing that I love so much about what I do is that every day I get to see people who are achieving incredible things. And
must be very rewarding.
it's incredible. And I wish that everyone else got to see that too. You know, I think that sometimes it's easy to just hear the inflationary crisis and this crisis.
There's so many crises going on at the same time.
It's so depressing, I think. It is. And I think what people forget sometimes is that the services we provide they're backed up by evidence. We've got, you know, regulated professionals delivering these services, you know, and they work. We are changing people's trajectories every single day, and people are incredibly resilient and incredibly brave and achieving wonderful things. And we get to see that every single day from the services we're delivering. And we really want to take a moment at the Imagine event to highlight that and to highlight the fact that it's not just us. We get to see it because we're there on the front lines doing it.
But to share it with the community.
And that it's the community that made it happen. We wouldn't be the organization we are if Westfield hadn't partnered with us for the past 2 decades. We wouldn't be the organization we are if the Tri-Cities didn't operate together in the way that it does. And so I think it's a really good opportunity to just take a moment and celebrate what we have achieved together.
I think it's really important to celebrate whenever we can, right?
Yes.
How would people go about getting tickets?
So they can go on the website, sharesociety.ca, and it's right on there. You can click the Imagine link and grab tickets. And it'll be a great, you know, we're all about the fun at Share, the fun and the food. That's, you know, we can't have a meeting without food at Share. And so, there'll be local restaurants that will be, you know, promoting their businesses and, you know, having incredible food, local entertainment. Rob Fay from CKNW is our host this year. And so he is just delightful and will be a great addition. Silent auction, lots of really fun stuff to engage in. So it's a great night.
So something to look forward, and it's coming up March 8th.
March 8th.
Right. Any last words, Claire, before we wrap up here?
I appreciate it. And I would just say that I know things are challenging out there, but there's lots of positive ways that people can engage. And I just encourage us to keep talking with each other and keep engaging in dialogue. And, you know, this is going to improve. You know, we've faced really challenging times in the past, and these cycles come, and they're never easy when we're living them, but it is something that we can, you know, do together. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity.
So to work hard, but stay hopeful too.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Claire.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. This is We've Got Issues, and we've been talking to Claire MacLean, who's the CEO of Share.